Hello friends, I'm Sri Lakshmi. Today we have with us a great senior master, speaker, author and life transformation coach, Prakriti Uma Mahesh. So Prakriti Uma Mahesh, he is a leading spiritualist who has guided millions of lives through his meditative and spiritual activities over the last 20 years, my dear friends. And he is a young spiritual scientist who preaches spirituality as a lifestyle, and he is the author of the best-selling Amazon best-selling book Think Differently, which is a useful guide to be happy anytime, anywhere. Uma Mahesh has written more than 3,000 quotes and 300 videos, which are useful for the youth to achieve their goals in their life, to be confident and happy, my dear friends. And he is also a veteran with 20 years of corporate excellence. And sir, we welcome you.
Yeah, thank you, Sri Lakshmi, and thank you to PMC UK.
Yes. Yes, friends, today we'll be having face to face with this amazing book writer, author, speaker, Uma Mahesh ji. Sir, we would like to receive more wisdom from you through this interactive session. So, going forward, yes, I would like to shoot a few questions to you, sir. And
Yes.
so, what is self discipline? So, many people will be asking, like, they want that self discipline in their lives. So, could you please elaborate on this?
Yeah. Self-discipline is not a discipline given by somebody else. We wanted to achieve something or we wanted to go in a particular path. For that, we need to manage ourselves. We have to manage our focus. We have to manage our time. We have to manage our thoughts. We have to manage our acts. So to reach a particular goal, we have to go in a particular direction by managing ourselves. So managing ourselves is nothing but self-discipline. Instead of disciplining by others, instead of getting ruled by others, getting disciplined by others, we ourselves choosing particular direction and strictly, firmly going in that particular direction can be called as self-discipline. For that, we need a lot of self willpower. We need to be strong enough from inside so that we can go in that particular direction. That's what I feel that as self discipline.
You so much, sir. Thank you. And sir, what is inner voice and how to listen to it?
Inner voice. See, we generally listen to our mind. We are not just mind. We are not just body. We are our soul also. We are three parts. We are body, we are mind, and we are soul. That can also be called as inner self. The intelligence of the inner self will come from many incarnations. The intelligence of this particular mind is local. This will come from this worldly affairs or worldly knowledge. Most of the times we unknowingly try to listen to our mind, which is coming from this worldly experiences. The knowledge or wisdom of inner self is something different. It comes from many incarnations. They can also be called as samskaras. So, listening to that inner self is nothing but listening to our inner voice. But how can we listen? That there is a barrier. That is also called as mind. Mind is our barrier. Uncontrolled mind is our barrier because in between it will try to interfere with its worldly knowledge. So, taking hold of mind, and once you create inner silence in our mind, then the actual inner voice come into picture. We will be able to listen to that inner voice. So the solution to listen to inner voice is creating more and more inner silence. That is taking hold of our mind. That can be done through meditation. If you can practice regularly meditation, naturally we'll start listening to our inner voice instead of listening to our local or worldly mind. It's very easy. Even that inner voice is also our own intelligence only, but that comes from through inner self. That's what my experience is. That will be very creative, very authentic. Even if a new situation where you never had any experience in that particular situation, even if that comes into life, you will be able to go through it through your inner voice. Inner voice or inner self doesn't need any worldly experience. It need not have experience in our earlier years. It can come through universe. It can come through nature. It will be able to guide us even brand new situations.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And apart from this meditation, could you please give some tips how to go into deeper states of silence, how to experience that inner silence?
Yeah, there are few more ways as per my experience of this 25 years. One of the best ways is being with nature. If you can spend time in nature, like removing all the things. Just in meditation, what generally we try to close and observe breath or do something, some technique. We'll try to follow. When you go to nature, just don't do anything. Just be with the nature or watch whatever is happening in the nature. Don't listen to music or don't try to play anything. If you can just be with the nature, we'll try to naturally our mind will go into silence. We'll get a lot of energy from nature and we'll go deeper inside in ourselves. That I call as Prakriti meditation. Our aura will change, our energy system will change because of this. Another more important practice we can do is practicing silence. Normally, silence means we'll think about our talks, our words. Not only that, avoiding all unnecessary activities using five senses, our five senses, eyes, nose, whatever the five senses we have five senses. We'll try to create disturbance or we try to use our energy or interact in this world through our five senses only. If you can avoid all unnecessary activities, whatever you are doing through these five senses, that means our mind is not going out, it is there with ourselves only. Because of that also you can get inner silence. Silence through avoiding unnecessary activities of five senses. It is called as silence. Normally we think of words, not talking. Okay, that is also one of the five senses. But along with that, eyes, nose, all other ears, whatever you do with the five senses, you should avoid all unnecessary things. One more important practice, they say, first is meditation, second is being with nature, third is practicing silence through five senses, and fourth important practice which I generally recommend is non-judgment. Our inner silence is disturbed. We are losing our inner silence because of judgments, too many judgments. We can judge at certain times because we need to take some decisions, but not too many. Every time you keep on judging yourself and others, that strong judgments will form as strong thoughts in our mind, which in turn disturb our silence. So if you can avoid these judgments, that is, if you can practice non-judgment, you can definitely get a lot of silence and a lot of energy will be saved and your life will be in your hands. These are the four ways which I know: meditation, being with nature, silence through five senses, and non-judgment. Non-judgment is a fundamental principle of spirituality. If we are not practicing non-judgment, we cannot say that we are into spirituality. We are practicing meditation, means we should practice non-judgment. That is very first and fundamental base of our spiritual path.
Yes, sir. It's beautiful, sir. Thank you so much. And what is the importance of Guru in one's life, sir?
Guru is mandatory or essential for everybody in any field. Some in materialistic field we call teacher, in spiritual field we call as Guru. Guru is nothing but a scientist. So there was Einstein. Einstein invented many things. And we need not do all the research and do again invent the same things. He has already invented. We are using. Somebody has already made car. We need not do research and try to make car. We can just utilize the car, so that our journey of our life will be very easy. So Guru is also nothing but a scientist, a spiritual scientist who has done lot of research, hundreds and thousands years of research, and he came up with certain fruits so that we can use them directly. We need not again do the entire research of thousands of years or thousands of lives. So if you can find a Guru, your journey will become very easy, just like if you find a car without researching or doing any research on the car and just using the car. Just by using the car, our journey will be very smooth. Just by using the flight, our journey will be very smooth. Just by using train, our journey will be very smooth. Instead of going by walk, we can go by car or by train or by flight. In the same way, our spiritual path, our spiritual journey will be very smooth, very easy if we can find a Guru. He will try to guide us so that we'll not have any hurdles, will not have any problems, will cross all the challenges very easily, smoothly, and whatever the problems he faced during his lifetime or many lifetimes, he will try to share with us so that we don't go unnecessarily and waste our time. So I feel that Guru is essential for any path. It may be spiritual path or it may be science, any technology. So if we can have a right Guru, we will be able to cross all the things easily within very less time. He might have achieved by traveling thousands of years. By using his guidance, within 1 year, within 6 months, we will be able to achieve all the things. That is what the importance of Guru.
So, what a beautiful explanation, sir. Thank you so much. And so many people will be having different fears about their future. How to overcome this fear of future, sir?
Fear of future means you are expecting more. Too many expectations will create too much of fear. If you don't know what you are doing right now, if you are not doing what you have to do right now, you will have fear of future. If you can live in this particular moment with the plan of the future, then naturally you will not fear. So if you are a student, if you can read right now, whatever the subjects you have to prepare, you will not have fear of exams. If you don't prepare, if you don't utilize the current moment, you will have fear. Most of us unconsciously will not live in this particular moment, will not productively live in this moment. We'll try to waste our current moment, will not live as per the plan, as per the need of the future. We just live without any plan and will get fear. So if you have any plan, if you want to achieve something in future, if you want to get certain fruits in the future, then try to plan what you have to do exactly right now. Today is nothing but future. There is no separate future or there is no separate past. There is only one thing called as current moment. If you can make best use of current moment, you will always be happy. For that, we need focus. We don't have much focus. Our mind is not in our hand. Our mind is going here and then, because of which we are unable to be in the moment. So if you want to be in the moment, you have to take hold of your mind. For that, you have to do meditation. If you can do regular meditation, say 2 hours per day, your mind will be in your hand. Whatever you want to do in this particular moment, whatever you have to do in this particular moment, you will try to do. And because of which, you get self-confidence, because you have done something for your future. And if you do something for your future, you will be confident. If you don't do something for your future, you will not be confident, you will not be energetic. So if you do meditation and do something for your future in this particular moment, naturally whatever the fruits you have to get, you will get. So you will have confidence also. The more energetic you are, more focused you are, more your mind is in your hand, naturally you will not have any fear of future or impact of the past. There will be impact of the past, because of which we will not live in this current moment. Even that impact of the past will go. because of regular meditation. I suggest always 2 hours of meditation in one sitting, not 10 minutes, 15 minutes. 10 minutes, 15 minutes will not be enough. You may get peace because of 10, 15 minutes meditation. But if you wanted to get enough energy, enough confidence, you have to practice 2 hours per day, every day, in one sitting, if possible. That's what I suggest.
That's wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. And so many people, they will have different dreams and desires, but they don't know how to overcome this procrastination, sir. So, any tips to how to overcome procrastination?
Procrastination means you are not seriously interested. You are not much worried about. You are just thinking. You don't have perseverance. You are not serious about what is your goal is. If you don't have a goal, if you are not serious about the goal, if you are not particular about the goal, you will procrastinate. You feel that is not mandatory. That is why you forget it or you will not do it. If you are serious, you will do it. Nobody will stop you. Nobody will go to stop you. So you have to understand the importance of it. If you can understand the importance of what you have to do, for what you have to do, and what are the things you are going to get through that, and if you are serious about it, you will never procrastinate. You are procrastinate means you are not interested towards your own life. You have not understood the importance of your own life, our growth, our goals. So those who doesn't understand the importance of the goals or future, they will try to procrastinate. They just live without any plan, just keeping on postponing because they don't feel that is not important. They feel that there is not that much important. That's why they procrastinate. Those who understood the importance, those people who are in their hands, they'll never postpone anything. We have not postponed this program. We have just decided this particular day and we have not postponed. We are doing this because we understood the importance of doing this program. So when you understood the importance of what you have to do, and if you are serious about it, that is, you will not postpone. So you have to emotionally get attached to it. Seriously get attached to it. Those who are seriously attached to that particular task will not postpone it. Those who are not seriously attached, they will postpone it. So try to verify your emotional attachment or seriousness. Then decide. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And many people will be facing with so many difficult situations in their lives, and how to deal with the toxic people in the life, sir.
Toxic people. Toxic means those who are wasting our time and we are attached to them. That means we ourselves doesn't have clarity about them. We ourselves are attached and they are coming to us and they are wasting our time. So if you have confidence on yourself, whatever your decision is, if you are strong enough from inside, you will have to say no. You will not give time to them. If you are not strong from inside and you are also attached, you are also liking them unconsciously. It's an unconscious like. Unconsciously, we like toxic people. That's why we live with them or we take time for them. So if you can understand how you are attached unconsciously, and if you are strong enough to say no, because your time is yours, you have a lot of other works to do. There are a number of things in life, and if you understood the importance of all other things, and if you understood the importance of wasting time unnecessarily with these toxic people, you will be able to say no. If you are not yet understood and if you are unconsciously liking, then you will spend time with toxic people. So try to first analyze yourself. If you analyze yourself from inside, how much attached you are unconsciously, then you will find they are not the reason. You are the sole reason. Nobody will come to us unless otherwise we say yes. We are saying yes unconsciously, and they are coming to us. If we can learn to say no, initially it may be difficult, but still we should say no. Initially, there may be a lot of struggle, but still we should say no. After a few days or after few months, naturally they'll go away because you are keeping on saying no. Third time, fourth time, they'll naturally go away. So we should learn to say no. We should understand the importance of time. We should consciously understand how we are attached and how we are wasting our time with the toxic people. We cannot change anybody. We think that we can change toxic people. That's why we try to mingle with them. No, we cannot change anybody. We can be a live example only. We cannot transform anybody. We cannot control anybody. At a maximum, we can share certain wisdom, whatever was useful for us. So I'm now trying to share whatever the wisdom I have used in my life. I can share. I cannot control anybody. I cannot transform directly anybody. That is their own choice. Unless otherwise they choose to get transformed, they cannot be transformed. So let's be a live example instead of wasting time with toxic people.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. The same question, similar question like Meena, she's from UK. She asked that, Master, how can we motivate family and friends to practice meditation? They're very reluctant. They started their journey and drop off in between and spending time on their material things.
Don't much bother about them. First, you practice as much as possible. Even today, after 25 years, my family members are not doing meditation. Last 25 years, they're not doing meditation. So it all depends on many incarnations, many lifetimes. Even if they are our family members, they may or may not come. So don't bother about them. You try to be a live example as much best as possible. Just do 2 hours of meditation. Whatever wisdom you got through videos, through books, you try to practice in your life. After practicing years together, say after practicing 20, 25 years, now some of the relatives are coming and asking me how to do meditation and all. They may not do. Even entire life they may not do. Don't bother about that. We are not here to bother about our own family members also. We are here to bother about only our own journey. Whoever is coming on our journey, maybe outside people, we should share with them and we should keep continuing our journey. So that is their journey. Just love them as they are. Love them as they are, even if they are not doing meditation. Give unconditional love, unconditional respect. Whether they do meditation or not doesn't matter. That is their choice. But you keep on sharing them. That meditation is good.
Yes, amazing, sir. Yes, amazing, sir. And sir, how to come out of this ego mind? Like so
directly,
many...
it is not possible. The more, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Continue the question.
Yes, sir. So many people will be they will be operating with their logic mind and they won't listen to us, and most of them will have ego. So how to come out of this ego mind?
Yes. So there are two things. You are talking about others' ego or our ego. So you should decide that. So you cannot control others' ego. So it is possible to manage our ego by increasing our inner silence. Ego is present in our mind. As much as mind is dropped, the more inner silence we get, naturally ego will be dropped. If you try to control ego, the more ego will come. If we have ego, we'll try to fight with others' ego. If we don't have ego, we'll not fight with others' ego. So let us first reduce our own ego by increasing inner silence and with consciousness. Let us be conscious while talking to others. When we are talking to others, if you are trying to make others as inferior, then that means you have ego. So don't make others as inferior or others as superior also. Let us try to be equal. Let us try to talk with everybody in this world as if we are all equal. There are no small people or big people. So while we are talking to others, we should make sure that we are not talking based on ego, based on superiority complex. We should not feel superior. If we feel superior compared to others, and they will feel inferior, and they will try to showcase themselves as superior compared to us. So the superiority complex of both the people will fight with each other. That is what is ego clash, ego fight. So while we are talking to others, we should not showcase our superiority complex. We did not even showcase our inferiority complex also. But if you wanted to drop your ego naturally, increase more inner silence. Inner silence can be increased, as already told, through meditation, through inner silence. For 4 ways we have already discussed through meditation. Directly, ego cannot be controlled. If you try to control, again it will increase from in other way. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And what is importance of self-care, sir, in one's life?
Self-care is the only way of life. If we don't care ourselves, how can we care others? If we don't love ourselves, how can we love others? If we don't respect ourselves, how can we respect others? There will be an illusion. So whatever we start, that should start from us only. If we really love ourselves, we should care ourselves. We should take care of our body. We should take care of our mind. We should take care of our soul. Generally, we take care of our body. We don't bother our mind. We have to take care of our mind also through reading many great books. If we can read great books, then that means you are taking care of your mind. You are giving the right direction to your mind. We know how to take care of our body very well, but we don't know how to take care of our mind. Taking care of our mind is nothing but taking care of our inner silence. If you can take care of our inner silence through reading books, through doing meditation, that is what is taking care of our mind. So self-care is nothing but self-development. If you work for self-development, we can say that you are taking care of yourself. We already know how to take care of body, but we are not much having knowledge. We don't have much knowledge about taking care of our mind. Taking care of mind can be done, taking care of soul can be done through meditation and spirituality. So if you can take some time for meditation and spirituality, that means you are taking care of your mind and soul also. So when you take care of your mind and soul, with that knowledge, without wisdom, without energy, you will be able to take care of the entire world easily. If you don't take care of your own mind, you'll never be able to take care of others or world properly. You'll be not able to take care of others properly because you don't have enough energy and knowledge. If you have energy knowledge by taking care of yourself, you will be able to do anything for others properly. Otherwise, whatever you do, that will create nonsense or nuisance in your life. If you don't love yourself and if you try to love others, that will not be a true love. How can you love others without loving yourself? If you don't take care of yourself, and if you try to take care of others, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you will get tired of others. You will try to blame others. So first take care of yourself completely. First take care of your mind completely. Take care of your soul completely. Take time for yourself and then take time for others.
That's beautiful, sir. Thank you so much. And one last question. And how to always live in this detached state, sir?
You need not be in detached state. You can be in non-attached state. You can be here with everybody, but don't get attached. They can be outside. If you don't take anything inside, then you can say you are non-attached. There may be wife, there may be parents, there may be family members, anything. There may be job. Don't take them inside. Keep everything outside only. Not taking anything inside is nothing but non-attachment. We can live with everybody in this world, but if we take something or somebody inside, that means you are living inside also with them, with that car or whatever it is. So we should consciously practice it. By choice, you have to practice it. If you don't try to choose it, choose non-attachment, unconsciously we'll go into attachment. We are naturally attached to all the people because we like all the people, all the things, many things, maybe cell phone, car, anything. We are attached. So we have to verify ourselves. We have to analyze ourselves, do self-analysis, how much attached we are. If we are thinking that without them we cannot live, that means we should reduce our attachment and be not attached. All the things are possible by regular practice of meditation. If we cannot do regular meditation, whatever the wisdom we are trying to discuss, we will be just in the cupboard, just like books are there in the cupboard, they will be there only. They will not be useful for us. If you want to practice any wisdom, maybe attachment, non-attachment, or laughter, anything if you wanted to practice, first you should practice regular meditation. Meditation regularly. I suggest 2 hours of meditation. Then whatever the wisdom you take, you'll be able to implement in everyday life. Non-attachment can be practiced with controlled mind. With uncontrolled mind, it is not possible. Self-love can be practiced with controlled mind. Self-care can be practiced with controlled mind. Everything is possible with controlled mind, with balanced mind. If mind is not balanced, you cannot balance anything. Detachment cannot be practiced with uncontrolled mind. Love, self-love cannot be practiced with uncontrolled mind. Naturally, we'll go out and live with all the people and we'll cry, we'll suffer. Suffering will come naturally if the mind is not controlled. The first principle is taking care of our mind, that is through meditation. We should control our mind, we should balance our mind through meditation, through regular meditation, regularly 2 hours, once in a month if possible, an entire day. We should take time for ourselves and spend time with ourselves only, not even family members. We should spend time with only ourselves, alone. Then naturally we will be able to do anything. You can practice non-attachment or detachment, anything is possible. If mind is not controlled, it will try to go out and will try to get attached with everybody, and naturally suffering will come. So through conscious living and through regular meditation, through choiceful living, non-attachment can be practiced.
Yes, sir. So wonderful, sir.
Okay.
And one more question from Srimani from Telford. So she mentioned, thank you, sir. How can we maintain a happy middle path between a material and spiritual path?
How can you please repeat the question?
How can we maintain a happy middle path between this material and spiritual?
Happy middle path. Yes. First thing we have to understand that there are no two separate lives. Spirituality is not separate from everyday life. Spirituality is a science of life. It is a science of life. It is a science of everyday life. What do we do in our day? We try to think, we try to speak, we try to act. What is spirituality? Spirituality is a science which will make you to do better things in thoughts. Whatever thoughts we can have right thoughts through spirituality. We can have right words through spirituality. We can have right acts through spirituality. Then there is a question of balancing both. It is a science of life. Spirituality is a science of life. What are you doing here is we are giving some time so that we can understand spirituality and apply it in our everyday. So if we are doing 2 hours of meditation, you'll get energy and you are going to office, then you have to be focused because your mind is controlled. Then it is not separate from your job. If you do regularly 2 hours of meditation, you will have to do best in your job. You will be able to do best in your family life. You will be able to speak properly. You will be able to focus properly. Then where is the question of balancing both? If you are doing daily 10 hours of meditation, there is imbalance. You are doing 1 or 2 hours of meditation. You are taking 1 or 2 hours of, if you are spending 1 or 2 hours of time for meditation or spirituality, then there is no question of balance. We are not becoming Swamijis. We are not going to Himalayas and doing something. We are here in our everyday life. So understand spirituality properly. And when you apply whatever you understood through right books, through spiritual books, then you will understand that they are not separate. When you don't apply, when you are only theoretical, you will feel that they are separate. You will be playing with the horse and you are not transformed. When you are not transformed, you will play with the word and you will feel that you are imbalanced. You are not able to balance. If you truly apply spirituality in your daily life, everyday life, then the spiritual itself will play a major role in balancing everything in life. It will balance our relationships, it will balance our health, it will balance our job, everything, wherever you are. So spirituality is a science of life. First of all, you have to understand that. Then the problem will go. There is no question of balance. I am not balancing anything. I am living with spirituality wherever I am go, wherever I am there. I may be there in job, my office. I'm a software engineer. I'm working as a project manager. Wherever I go, I will try to apply my wisdom when I'm in office, when I'm with my family members, when I'm taking this kind of sessions. I'll try to apply whatever I understood to spirituality. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, it was a great enlightening session. Thank you so much for all your insight. We had a wonderful session. Once again, thank you so much, sir. And yes, friends, let's connect next Saturday, same time at 8 a.m. London. And please stay tuned and please subscribe to this PMC UK channel. And please do utilize this wisdom sharing session by Uma Mahesh Ji. He's a great senior most master, grand master. And thank you, sir, once again. So your final words?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, PMC UK team, whosoever they are.
Yes, thank you once again. Okay, friends, let's connect next Saturday at 8 a.m. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.